this is Jenny from Just Being Me, and you're listening to the Learning to Love Yourself podcast, the show that inspires you to put yourself first.
Learning to love yourself on the path to happiness. Learning to love yourself on the path to happiness.
We're back again with Kiki Smith, who has made a wonderful natural product and has a really inspiring story to talk about her addiction to prescribed drugs. Kiki, just let us know who you are and all about you.
So I'm Kiki Smith. Some people know me as Kirsty Kiki Smith. That sometimes gives a bit of confusion, but there was a lot of Kirsty Smith. So Kiki is who I became after the breakdown, after coming off the painkillers. I feel like Kiki is really who I am. And
You.
I'll just be me, so I am Kiki. So I developed a product that aids the nociceptor pain response to not respond to the inflammation anymore and allows your own body to recover. But I did that through my own addiction to opioid medication, codeine. I hit rock bottom in 2016. And through that moment, I've sort of found my own way back. And after...
Sorry, I was just going to say, Kiki, so that let's be clear, this is codeine that was prescribed to you.
Yes.
This wasn't just you going off and finding it and taking it. This was prescribed to you. For what reason?
So I've had 14 operations to this date. At that point, I've had 12 operations for endometriosis and inflammation-related tumours.
Wow.
And by 2016, I was given 100 tablets in a box at a time.
God.
And I've obviously been to uni since then, post-recovery, and gone through a lot of education. But at the time, and this sounds really naive, I didn't know you could be addicted to something the doctor was giving you.
And it's ridiculous, isn't it? Because actually, if you go to the supermarket, you can't buy 100 tablets like that.
Yeah, and I suppose the question is, well, why did I keep taking more and more? But the way that the medication works is your body needs more and more to feel the same effects. And
because it gets used to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's all that happened with me. And I just want to be honest that anyone who's out there to not really feel ashamed. It's not like you've chosen to go and take an illegal drug and you've made your choice on that path. I was very ill, in a lot of pain, and I was given medication that's widely prescribed for many pain sufferers. But it didn't say at the time when I started taking them, there wasn't all of these only take for 3 days on the packet like there is now. This wasn't widely known that you could become addicted at that time when I first started taking them, because having addictive parents in the past who've been addicted as well, it wouldn't have been great for me to start on any medication that was addictive. It would have, I maybe might have looked at other options.
And how long were you on the tablets before you actually kind of went, enough of this?
It was only when I started to come off them, maybe, that I thought I was addicted as well, by the way. I didn't actually know I was addicted. It was when the doctor stopped giving me them.
So, and they stopped giving you because you stopped being in pain, or?
I was still in pain, but they received new information that they shouldn't give people them at 100 tablets at a time. Went in one day to get my prescription, and they were like, you can't take this medication anymore because it's addictive. And I was like, oh, well, I've been taking them, I think it was 5 or 6 years at this point. And to come off them was the most horrendous experience. So they just stopped me taking them.
And did they help you through the coming off process?
No, they just stopped prescribing them. So full transparency, I did start getting them off other people illegally in the meantime because I was addicted to them. And I thought there was, I'd get the normal codeine from the pharmacy, the low strength, and I'd take more and more of them. And then when I was in hospital, so I kept getting admitted because I've still got this condition, endometriosis, so I was still in a lot of pain. And basically, they then put me on Oramor, which is almost like heroin in
Morphine, isn't it? Oral morphine.
yeah. So then when I'd come out of hospital, I wouldn't be able to take that. I had a really bad reaction to tramadol because they gave me that instead of the codeine. It was just a horrible, horrible time. And I then dealt with the guilt of feeling like an addict because
Absolutely.
when I was addicted to codeine, it was horrendous. So in January 2023, only 11 months ago, I completely stopped antidepressants and codeine medication entirely.
So you started coming off them how long ago?
I tried to stop coming off them in 2017 and 2018, but I was still taking, over-the-counter medication up until 2023 January.
That's an awful long time because you're very young as well, so, that's a lot of your life to be dealing with that. I mean, on top of that, you're also dealing with the pain of endometritis. That's just not going away. That's not something in my understanding, I don't know a lot about it, but ever goes away. It's something that you have to try and deal with for the rest of your life. And then you're dealing with this on top.
Yeah, one of the main side effects for codeine is constipation as well. And I had a inverted womb, so the adhesions would attach to the bowel and bladder.
God.
And then because I was taking so much codeine, then I couldn't go to the toilet either. So I was in the most amount of pain, not helped by the prescription drugs that I was given. So, and obviously from January, in the couple of months running up to that, I've already made products in the past. So the ZX10 product contains Nigella sativa, saffron, curcumin, CBD, and those ingredients on their own, I'd been using them, in essential oils or just extracts, and they did help with the pain management side. So when the ZF was fully brought out, I knew I'd have a backup for the physical side effects of, obviously there's nothing you can do about the mental and the actual.
Not with ZX10 anyway. So your product that you've produced is completely natural, isn't it? Which is,
Yes.
If anybody knows me, knows that I am as natural as I possibly can because my husband has ME and he reacts to a lot of the products that are out there on the shelves that contain all sorts of horrible nasties we've now discovered. And by weaning him off of it has meant that I've weaned off of it. And it's amazing the difference I feel by just using as natural as we possibly can. I really notice then if I eat something that's got preservatives in, or if I'm in somebody's house where they've used a lot of chemical cleaners, whatever, because the smell's so high, it's incredible the difference. So to hear that you're sitting here going, and bearing in mind that I have quite a bad back problem, here I have a natural product that you can use for pain, is like, woo, yes. So
I didn't realise, again, it's all about education and knowledge, which I'm really passionate about. I didn't know that the rub-on gels contained a lot of chemicals, and some of them contain pharmaceuticals. So as much as I wasn't addicted to ibuprofen, when there's another gel with diclofenac in, when I was trying to come off drugs, I was using these, and a lot of them are over-the-counter gels, and then realising, actually, I'm just replacing one addiction with another. I'm not really dealing with what's going on with the root cause of everything. I'm just replacing it with something else, which is the worst thing that you can do, because then I was never, ever actually clearing the toxins out of my body.
And that's the whole thing, isn't it? It's not necessarily about what you put in your mouth. It's about what you put on your body as well, isn't it? Because that's what we found removing chemicals.
The largest organ as well. So you really absorb.
The quickest one to get into, isn't it, as well?
Yes, it is. I'm using a topical progesterone cream at the moment because I'm perimenopausal with the endometriosis. I've got no fallopian tubes, and it's really, really good, and I find it really effective. It's obviously yams progesterone, so it is natural, but it's got animal extracts in. But this, rather than taking oral medication, seemed, for me, being addicted to painkillers, a much better option.
Much better way to go.
Yes.
So, being that we're about self-care and supporting our mental health, where did you go? As you were coming off, did you find a way to support yourself mentally, or did you get some support with that?
I didn't really ever get any support. What I found really helpful was journaling and writing about it. And some people say you shouldn't, and this is why I love this podcast, because it is just being me.
Yeah.
I've actually been able to help a lot of other people by just being myself and talking about my journey. I think there's a massive taboo about addiction that isn't talked about when it's actually being given to you by a professional healthcare practitioner or a doctor. But I could have very easily, and it's quite difficult to say. Obviously, I hit a rock bottom moment where I did want to jump off a bridge in 2016. I was that low and felt that unfair and that low. But you don't really understand like how close I was to maybe going and getting heroin or anything like that, because that is addiction. So it was a choice that I didn't make, but I can also relate to people who've just been taken off their medication by the doctor with no help and support, how they can go down that road. And I'm not a judgmental person, but when I actually seen it with my own eyes and felt it, when they just stop you, you know, there's people that then go on to take fentanyl, which can kill you, a little small grain of sand. They go on to take that because there is no other option, and maybe getting the codeine tablets are quite expensive. So the cheaper things are when you're an addict can actually then kill you.
It's a horrible, horrible thought, isn't it? That, you know, our National Health Service have done this, realised that actually this is not okay, but they're not supported people to come away from it.
I hate, and I think it's almost like saying we hold our hands up. We shouldn't have given you all of that medication in one go. But then why don't we like taper you off them, give you a program, give you a support, give you counselling? Also, you know, I was depressed as well due to the pain. I'd lost my job at the time due to health
I can
reasons.
understand why.
So maybe I was also self-medicating that through these tablets, and maybe I should have possibly had a bit more support and even a conversation.
And this is one of the difficult things, isn't it? When you're in a very bad place, and I'm quite open about the fact that what absolutely changed me, I've spent a lot of my life working out how to make myself feel better. But what actually changed me was the moment where I had 6 deaths in a row and my head was fried. I lost a lot of people that were important to me. And actually I approached the mental health service in my area, and I was told to come back when I was less chaotic. And at that point, you're on your own, aren't you? You know, you're on your own, and you have to find your own way, which is not particularly helpful, is it?
We've spoken about this briefly before when we had our mini chat.
Yeah.
We reached this state of really anger and upset and frustration. And I've been at the hospital like that, where they wanted to sort of restrain me when I was in pain or when I've not felt listened to. We only get to that point because we've exhausted every avenue that we can see available. And we get to this extreme anger and frustration. And this is why now journaling or writing helps me. And again, just by being myself, even if some people say you shouldn't write that because you're a business owner, you shouldn't do that because you're a business owner. But I'm actually a human being, and I have experiences and frustrations like you. And also being neurodiverse, again, you are more susceptible to addiction. So I'd rather be on here and talk about it very raw and how it actually is and how upset and frustrated I was at many moments, simply because there wasn't an avenue and I didn't feel listened to.
I mean, one of the reasons why we're on this podcast talking is because when we met, I just thought you're such an inspiration, because, you know, the system basically let you down all over the place. And what did you do with that? You went away, you went to university, you got yourself qualified, and you made a product that's natural and non-addictive. I mean, how much more inspiration can you get out of that? You know, and you're still dealing with your pain now. You know, it's not like the pain's gone away, and you took all that time to come off. That's all.
Be honest in the fact that I'm not here trying to say that my product can fix everyone and it's a miracle product and it's going to cure condition, because I hate that, because it's not true. It can't. It can restrict the receptors of the brain and it can help you reduce medication, but you've got to really have that inside to want to do that. as well. It's about
That's
that.
exactly what for me, why I do what I do is because of the fact that, and we talked about this before, but the only way we can create a life that we want to live is by looking truly inside of us and finding out what's actually inside of us and looking at the way that we can support us to get us to the life that we want. And I think that you are just a shining example of that, of looking inside of yourself and going, okay, I don't want my life to be like this. I want my life to change. How am I going to do that? And that's exactly what you've done. And I think journaling is such a powerful way. There's a lot of people that just say, you can't make your life better with affirmations, with gratitudes, with journaling. And I think you can. I absolutely say, if you have a medical condition, obviously it's completely different, but actually being grateful for what you have, affirming things in your life, writing things down when you've got a problem, taking some time to just slow your brain down by either going for a walk or meditating, doing things that actually fill your cup up with joy, I actually think can change your life.
When I was in the rat race in retail, in chronic pain, just trying to get through each day, when someone would say the word mindfulness, I'd want to cringe because I thought, how are you telling me to be mindful? But actually, in the truth of it, having a positive mindset really helps. Now, that's not being completely delusional, by the way, and pretending that everything is, you've got to actually be honest.
Yeah.
And that's where the journaling comes from for me. So writing things down and blogging and talking about my experience, it ends up getting people responding, and it makes me, one, understand that I'm not alone because we felt unheard and unlistened to. And two, when you're in a very manic state or a very low state, which happens to me quite frequently because I am neurodiverse and with hormones and everything else going on, I can react completely differently from one day to the next. And by following those patterns or not reacting to a person, it's actually saved my relationships and helped me with my communication. So if I want to speak to someone, or I've always found it's better for me to pick up the phone and have a conversation with them than message them because they read it from their own perception.
Yeah.
And that's where the journaling comes from as well. So I can read it back and think, wow, that's absolutely delusional what you've written there because that's not how it happened, and actually call myself out on my own bullshit.
One of the big things that when I'm working with clients is holding the space for them to say all the words that are bashing around in their head. Because a lot of the time, and I know this very much for myself, is if I've got lots of stuff bashing around in my head, and I'm neurodiverse like you, so, you never quite know what that's going to do. But if it's bashing around in my head, the best thing for me to do is to say it out loud. Now, I like to say it to a person, but mostly when I'm talking to a person, by the time I get to the end of saying this out loud, I'm going, yeah, well, that is not really true, is it, Jenny?
Yeah.
Okay, reel back. Let's look at what the truth in this is. But when it's in my head, bashing around, I can't make sense of it. So being able to journal it out, being able to talk to somebody, finding a way to take it from your brain and out into the real world is a great way. And being able to read your journal back and imagine how that's going to look in 10 years' time, Kiki. You're going to be looking at that and going, gosh, look at this.
I wrote a lot of notes to people when I was really ill, because my husband would be coming home from working away because I was off work at the time, and he would not understand why the house was a mess and why I hadn't got dressed for 3 days or brushed my teeth or got a wash. And for him, who's been in the army, who has a big routine, he didn't think it was laziness because he was working in mental health, but he didn't understand how I, who was someone who went out to work in retail, lipstick on, showed up regardless, and was very much a fighter, could be reduced to this. And that was the drugs.
And the interesting thing in that is the fact that you just said that your husband's working in mental health. And actually, the only way that people who haven't experienced something can understand truly what it's like is to hear it from people who have been through it and to listen to it honestly. And that's what this podcast is about.
writing down how I felt at the time, I don't remember. And this is another thing that might be an awakening for some people. I don't actually remember a huge part of being extremely addicted or being mentally ill. I don't remember it.
Which in one way is almost kind of a blessing.
Yeah.
But in another way, that part of your life you don't actually remember.
Yeah. So there's big chunks of life that feels like, because it was 8 years ago, it was only 8 years ago, and that I was severely mentally ill. And then it's only this year that I've actually finally come off completely all pharmaceutical medication. That's how difficult it is.
And that's an amazing journey that you've actually stuck it out and achieved so many other things in the same time.
I definitely feel like I wouldn't go back now. It was very much going back and forth, especially with the antidepressants, trying to deal with the pain and your mental health at the same time. This year for me, and Jenny, you might have come across it with a lot of your clients, has actually been the first time in my life in 19 years that there's not been a filter over everything.
And that's amazing. You know,
It's difficult, but to take those rose-tinted glasses off, and I've actually lost a few people that have been in my life for a long time this year, and that's been difficult as well. But it's almost like it had to happen. I couldn't ever fully heal or even start to heal, to be completely honest, because I've still got a lot to work on. I needed to be completely free of anything that was altering my mind or receptive.
absolutely. So, I mean, one last question, but you've just sort of almost said it out loud anyway, having the right people around you, how important is that to you?
My husband saved my life, and it does upset me because I think most men would have walked away. It would have been easier for him to walk away. He literally picked me up and, he's allowed me in this process as well. He's actually the CEO of ZX10. He's left his job now and he does all the distribution for us. Not only did he save my life, made me become who he married again, but he actually left his job and supported me and in a vision that no one else could see but me.
That's the right person to be around you, isn't it?
Yeah, it really, really is.
And you just mentioned briefly that you lost a few people, and that often happens, doesn't it? When, in my experience anyway, when people are really finding out who they are and then they start seeing who they really are, that often you lose people because of the fact you're not behaving in the way that they want you to behave anymore. You're behaving in the way that actually makes you happy and supports you.
I think it's a horrible thing to say out loud, but if you're trying to remove yourself from a negative state and everyone around you in your circle is negative, it's never going to work. You can't leave.
Absolutely. And it's hard, isn't it? But you just have to say, right, okay, I'm putting myself first. And that's my whole ethos, is the fact that actually we're looking to put ourselves first so that we can fill ourselves up. So then once we're full, we can give to others.
Yeah, and I love them with all my heart. There's been some really close people to me that I've lost, and actually in the past, I can now attribute the responsibility that I gave to relationships breaking off, be it friendship or family or whatever else. That has been difficult for me, but I can look back now without the root and think, oh God, I was a nightmare then. So I understand why they were annoyed with me, and that's not a nice thing to feel.
And it's you getting to know you and taking responsibility, because actually you are the only person that's responsible for your behaviour. Whatever you did, whatever encouraged, whatever's there, you still have those choices. You are taking responsibility for your behaviour.
Of course, and I think by saying sorry and being honest and being realistic, whereas at the time I was angry and thought it was there, that is progress and moving forward. Whereas this year, I think all I've tried to do this year is become the better version of myself. That's all.
And I love it, Kiki. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us today. We will put down below all of Kiki's contact details, and, go check out her products and see what you think. Go and do your research yourself. But thank you, Kiki. It's been amazing.
You're welcome.
My fabulous Just Being Me energy tracker is now available as an ebook for only £4.44. That's right, 12 months of energy tracking, plus a section for identifying your energies in conjunction with the moon phases, plus my vibrational chart for just £4.44. Happy 2024. Thanks for listening today. If you'd like to know more, you can find all the links down below. Oh, and don't forget to press subscribe so you can catch the next one. See you soon.